it's a book that's actually printed out. It's 1,500 pages.
Costs $55.
$55, and you happen to have your own company.
And we never print it out.
That's right. Alternatively, you can go to the official FAR website, which is at http:// put this in your computers.
And if you go to Google, if you just put in Farside Hill, it'll come up.
Farside Hill.
Exactly. Yeah, Farside, then space Hill.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just talk overarching stuff first. The first thing is that most federal agencies use the FAR. Who doesn't use FAR?
Everybody else.
USPS, they're kind of like a semi-private organization, so they don't have to use it. And then other agencies also have not only the FAR for overarching stuff, but then they have their own supplement. So Department of Defense, for example, has DFAR, which is the Defense FAR supplement. DOT has the Department of Transportation FAR supplement. Lots of different agencies have FAR supplement. So what you always want to do is look at the FAR, and you want to look at the agency's FAR supplement. And when you actually are looking in your RFP, you'll see all the references to FAR, and they're all referenced by, they're all incorporated by reference, meaning they'll just give you the title and the date, and then you can look up what that FAR clause is. If it's a GSARS or DOT FARs or DFARs, those will all have separate nomenclature. But FAR is, this site gives you all the FAR. So if you go to this website, you can use it to look up any reference that you have anywhere in your contracts, anywhere in your RFPs. There's a group called the FAR Council. It's made up of a person from DOD, a person from civilian agencies, somebody from Office of Federal Procurement Policy, and several other people. And these people get together routinely to figure out which FAR clauses are causing problems and to update those FAR clauses. So every individual FAR clause is on its own revision cycle, so it's not like they give you a whole new FAR. Each clause gets updated on its own cycle. For printing purposes, they make a decision to, but you can always get the most current version online. Just so you know, agencies as well as individuals, companies, and individuals have the opportunity to comment on any new FAR clauses as they go. FAR clauses are incorporated by reference, meaning you get the clause number, you get the title, and the date, and that's what you use to go find the FAR clause. In other words, the whole clause isn't normally written in your contract. It's just the title, and you're expected to go off to this other document to get it. And the FAR is broken down into 52 parts. Sarah, were we rolling at this point?
Yes.
So just some part A of the FAR is just general information. So basically, here's where they tell you about the Federal Acquisition Regulation System, and they talk about the FAR Council and how it's all put together. So that's just a good overview. Part 2 is a definition of words and terms that are used throughout the FAR. So if you don't know what a certain term means, you can look it up there. Normally you'll find that any definitions that you need are written right in the clause. So if they are using a word in a certain way, they'll define how they're using it right there in the FAR clause. Section 3 is improper business practices and personal conflicts of interest, a very useful clause to keep in mind. Okay, as we go through these, I'm going to pick out certain clauses that I want you guys to look at in particular. So one person will look at it, and then you just report out to everybody in the class about what was in that clause. Okay? So each one of you will get a different one. So who wants improper business practices? Community? Zach. Probably the straight shooter is taking the improper business practices. 4 is administrative matters. Basic information on how the administration of the FAR works. Okay, Now we start getting into section B, which is competition and acquisition planning. So the lecture that I gave you last time, where we talked about the entire government acquisition cycle, that's what this is. It tells government contracting officers how to publicize contract actions. How are they going to publicize contract actions? Everybody else knows FedBizOps too, right? Acquisition plan, competition requirements. Who wants to take competition requirements? I'm sorry, who? Donald is taking, okay. Competition requirements. Okay. Acquisition planning is a section I went through with you. Required sources of supplies and services. So before the government can, you remember I told you they do a make or buy decision? And I said make were the things they were going to do internally, and buy was what they were going to do with you. Part of their make decision is, are there any required sources for the product or service? So who's a required source? It could be federal prison industries. So there are certain projects that are given to people in our prison system to work on as part of the recovery process. And it's those items take precedent over buying from commercial customers, from commercial companies. Another group is the Ability One, which is the former group for the blind and challenged. So those are required sources for supplies and services. Who wants to take contractor qualifications?
Tim.
Who?
Tim.
Tim? Okay, 10 is market research. We talked about how the government conducts market research before because it gives you ideas on how for you to conduct your market research. Okay, we always learn things. We should learn one new thing every day. Judy taught me my one thing I needed to learn today, and that is that if you don't respond to a sources sought request, and the government's trying to determine whether or not they have at least 3 small businesses that can do the work, and 3 small companies didn't respond, the government then assumes there's no small businesses available. So if you want to make sure an opportunity is open to small businesses and it's considered a set aside for just small businesses, respond to the sources sought document and talk to your colleagues in the industry about responding to the sources sought document so that you get it as a small business set aside. Otherwise it's going to be a full and open and you're competing with the big boys out there. Okay. Describing agency needs. Who wants to take that one? Okay.
Jared.
Jared? Did you say Jared?
E-R-O-D.
I'm sorry?
E-R-O-D.
Oh, ER. And it's going to take describing agency needs. Okay, acquisition of commercial items. So commercial items, so everything we've talked about has been, when the government is putting together a whole solution or asking for services or asking you to do something that's government unique, these are all solution kind of buys. The government also does commercial items, and we're going to close out today with that topic when we get to it, but it's a simplified way of getting to goods and services that you already have manufactured. So we'll talk about that separately. And under commercial items, we talk about acquisition of commercial items and why the government does it, special requirements. So there's an actual part of the FAR, which is FAR Part 12, that governs how commercial items are purchased. And typically what the government does there is they withhold a lot of their own terms and conditions and accept your terms and conditions that you offer to the commercial marketplace. So we'll talk about that later. Unique requirements regarding terms and conditions, applicability of certain laws to acquisition of commercial items and commercial off-the-shelf items, and streamlined processes. So we'll talk about why commercial items exist in a few minutes. Now we're on to Section C. Section C is simplified acquisition procedures. So who wants to take simplified acquisition procedures? I'm sorry? Okay.
I'd rather take my phone.
You'd rather take what?
My phone.
I'll take 19.
That's
That's
what
what
I'm
what is 19?
Probably not.
Okay. I'll choose it as 19. Okay, each of you need one, so who wants to do it?
Sean will take 13.
Thank
Make
you.
some leave delegates.
14 is sealed bidding, which is another way of conducting bids where you actually put together your proposal. It's very similar to what Judy just explained with how bids work, right? You put your final bottom line price and you negotiate like that. Who wants to do contracting by negotiation?
I'll take it.
Okay. Can you tell me your first name?
Ashley,
L-E-I-G-H or E-Y?
Ellie White.
Thank you. Types of contracts, we'll talk about in class, special contracting methods, and emergency acquisitions. Emergency acquisitions are when we're in a state of national defense and processes get expedited and things like that. Judy? Sean's taking simplified acquisitions, and we'll talk about these things. And then Judy's going to take small business programs, and she knows it like the back of her hand. Application of labor laws to government acquisitions. Who wants to do labor laws?
Should have taken part 53.
I'll do it. Amy, A-I-M-E-E.
23, when it says reserved, it just means there's no content there. The government uses those spaces if they want to add other things to it. Environment, energy, water efficiency, renewable energy technology, occupational safety, directory workplace. Just know that you have to have all those in place in your organizations. Protection of Privacy and Freedom of Information Act. If any of you were doing any kind of IT systems, you would have to promise that you're going to protect people's private data. Foreign acquisitions, if you do any kind of sourcing from foreign countries, you have to follow the requirements in foreign acquisitions. Other socioeconomic programs. So that's all section D. Judy will talk about the size standards, policies, determination of status. We all figured out our status, and cooperation with Small Business Administration, etc. This is also contracting with the Small Business Administration with the 8A program, Hub Zone program, Service Disabled, and Women Owned. Okay, now we're on E, which is general contracting requirements. 27 talks about if you're working with the government, you're developing intellectual property, patents, data, and copyright type issues. 28 is bonds and insurance. Who wants to take bonds and insurance?
John.
Thank you, John. 29 is taxes, 30 is cost accounting, the kind of stuff I was talking about this morning. 31 was contracting costs, principles, and procedures. 32 is contract financing. Who wants to take contract financing? You don't have to know anything about these topics. All you're going to do is read the section and report out on it. Who doesn't have one yet?
I'll take it. Is this?
We're going to vote now.
John.
Okay. 33 is protest disputes and appeals. We'll talk about that later in the class. Special categories of contracting, major system acquisition, that's when we're talking about like the F-18s and the bombers. Research and development contracting, when you actually help the government figure out what problem is that they're trying to, figure out what the problem is that they're trying to solve and work with them on a solution. Construction and architect engineer contracts, you know anybody that's doing that in here? In terms of your business line, anybody done anything like this? Okay. Service contracting, anybody providing services to the government? Okay. Federal supply schedule contracting, this is part of GSA, being able to provide products under federal supply schedule. Who's thinking about a GSA schedule potentially? You guys are? Okay. Jeff, do you want to take that one?
I'll get a few more.
Oh, we're doing it today. We're doing it today. Nice try,
I
Jeff.
can't wait to
Okay, just curious, what friend did you kill off to get out of the assignment?
I had to kill something to get out of here.
Okay, so Jeff has, what do we have here, the federal supply schedule.
scratch on the back. She's holding those marker, and I just know she's giving her something.
Reserve, and then acquisition of information technology. Anybody doing anything in IT? Okay, acquisition of utility services. Then we get into all the contract management stuff, which is contract administration and audit services, the stuff we were talking about this morning. Contract modifications, once you have the contract in place, how do you make changes to it? Subcontracting policies and procedures, if you're going to be the prime, how do you handle subs? Does anybody not have an assignment at this point? Okay.
I do, but is there any way I can change mine?
Well, what do you want?
The market research?
We already did market research.
Nobody signed up for it.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm doing is I'm looking
It's like this.
sneaky little group in here, aren't you?
Yeah.
I already told you everything about market research. We don't need to cover that. But thank you so much for that.
Where specifically go with this? You're volunteering for something that's 73 pages long.
Which one?
Oh, really? Yes, I got
I'm already yours.
Did you?
I got a
Really? What are we supposed to be doing with this now, reading this?
Okay. For right this second,
Double beer all the time.
for right this second, let's just get through the topics of the FAR. And all I'm going to ask you to do is skim through your section and get the gist of what it's talking about. And be able to tell the class what the gist of what it's talking about. Okay? That's it. Some of them are very short, some of them are very long.
What's the website for the Cliff Notes and bar?
It's called www-jail.
Do I have to register for that?
They already have your information.
Oh, that's when they came by to our elementary school, when we were taking our fingerprints. and
That's
sending
it, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
You've already got your number. When your number's up, it's too late.
Okay, 45 is government property,
Well, that's not fair.
46 is quality assurance. Anybody paying attention to the damn thing I'm saying up there?
Yep.
47 is how you transform things. 48 is value engineering. So sometimes if you're working for a government agency and you come up with a really great idea and you say to the government, here's this really great idea. If you have a value engineering change clause in your proposal and the government conducts a study of your really great idea and finds that it saves the government money, you can get a portion of that money back if you have a value engineering change clause in your contract.
Now, I had one of those one time, and this was back in the early 70s, I guess, and we ordered some coolers. This is when it was Defense General Supply Center. And the coolers had metal bases on them. Somebody put plastic, who knew? And for he got like $150,000 for suggesting plastic, because down the line, it saved him a whole lot of money. Because in every contract that was awarded, he got a portion of that contract.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this was just his regular practice to put plastic in the lid rather than metal.
The only thing I want to tell you, and I think we should all be good US citizens, because when we're all good US citizens, we make our country great. But if you do not have a value engineering change clause in your proposal,